Jeff, can you hear us? Anyone online, can you hear us? Okay.
All right, we got confirmation online. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for joining us online in person. Call this meeting to order at 11:08. I'll read a invocation. Nikki, can you take roll call?
Carlos Hernandez,
Here.
Tara Gishik. Here. Shane Drift,
Yeah.
Janelle Goggleye,
Here.
Robert Moyer.
Here.
All right, first we're gonna have the approval of the agenda. Council, if you can review the agenda. I know we do have a couple additions. Miranda, can we start those additions first? Or note those additions?
Yep, under Doris Isham, we do have an updated resolution that was handed out to tribal council members. Hard copy. We also will add under Kim Griner, fiscal year 2026 tribal ARPA budget. And after Randy Long, we will add Amy Mason, approval to access Bois Forte energy usage date to support grant application and projects, and approval of free technical assistance support, community engagement tied to our microgrid grant. After myself, we would like to add a request for the Bois Forte Tribal Government Office Olympics and Bois Forte Tribal Government Building Access.
Any other questions or concerns? Any other additions from council? If not, I ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next is the approval of the meeting minutes for February 4th, 2026. They're not ready, so I ask for a motion to table the approval of the meeting minutes for February 4th.
I'll move.
Move to table by Janelle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next is the consent agenda. Would you be able to read those items for me today, Miranda?
Yes, under the consent agenda, all of these items were approved by a vote of 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 silent. Letter A, approved signing of the Tribal Amicus Brief in the Running Aces litigation. Letter B, offer of sale for Leander property. And finally, letter C, appointment of election contest judge and alternate for the 2026 general election. Again, those all passed by a vote of 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 silent.
Ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I have a question on the consent agenda. Under B, offer of sale for Leander property. Did HHS, is it HHS getting back more than what they paid for it? Kim?
I don't know what the offer is, but if there's additional funds, because that building is owned by the tribal government. And we have a loan on it from the MCT, or we're buying actually for contract for deed. It'll pay that off first. And then the proceeds go to the tribal government, to the RTC Housing Fund. Because that's where it's maintained out of and stuff, because HHS was leasing it from the tribal government.
Can you send that information to the tribal council and executive director?
Yes, I will. It'll probably be tomorrow. I
Thank
have
you.
limited time today.
Vote to approve.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Robert. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Hopefully they sell it for more. All right, so first item or next up is Nikki Irving. She's going to speak about a grant contract agreement with the state of Minnesota for OEMS Ambulance Budget Deficit Grant Award. Hi, Nikki.
Hello. You guys approved the acceptance of the grant through resolution 54, 2026. This here is just the agreement for that grant and authorizing the chair to sign it.
Sounds good. Looks like we're receiving 20,188.67.
Sure.
Any questions or concerns from council? Looks like it's benefits us. 20,000 to cover the deficit. If there's no questions or concerns, ask for a motion to approve the
Move.
contract grant. Moved by Shane. Do I have a
Second.
second? Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Nikki. Next up, we have David Morrison Jr. And he's going to be speaking about a 2026 sobriety fundraising approval for April 25th, 2026. He's joining us online. Hello, Squidge. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good. Yep, so we're just asking approval to do a fundraiser for the 2026 sobriety powwow. Last year we got some items and were able to raise about $1,500. We did 3 spot dances. There was a $600 spot dance in the first session, a $600 spot dance in the second session, and we did one for $300 for the youth. So that was pretty good money that we raised. You know, we got some items that we got. I purchased some items and I got some other people donating some items. And we'll be selling raffle tickets, 1 ticket for $10 or 5 tickets for $30. So like I said, we're hoping to raise at least same what we raised last year, hopefully more this year. And it'll either be for dance specials or spot dances. That's it.
Sounds good to me. Any questions or concerns from council about approving the fundraiser?
We are taking donations, so dig deep in your pockets, council and upper management.
Sounds good. Make sure to utilize the donation committee and get the request in.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Janelle
Second.
and second by Tara. Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Squidge.
Which
All right, next up on the agenda, we have some donation committee recommendations. And first up is going to be an approval. And that's going to be for $250 for Jolene. For Jolene Goggleye, and that's going to be for some fundraising supplies. And who from the donation committee is here, or are they just approved? They just send it to us, right? So we don't need to question it. We're just approving it. Okay. There's no questions or concerns. I ask for a motion to approve. Moved by Shane, second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up is a denial. And that be for the Rock Ridge Youth Hockey Association. And it already went to donation committee and they made the decision. So I ask for a motion to approve the denial.
I'll make the motion and just for clarification for the audience, the donation was denied because there was already a donation made to the Rock Ridge School for Hockey. So I'll make the motion. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that clarification. I was trying to pull that up. Thank you, Janelle. Motion by Janelle. Do I have a second? Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up, we have Doris Isham. She's joining us in person today. And the first thing she's going to talk about is resolution number 62-2026. And that's support for the band's fiscal year 2026 better utilizing investments to leverage development or the build grant application. Thank you for joining us today, Doris.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have on the agenda a resolution for your consideration to approve the submission of the build grant application in the amount of $8,737,000 or 30, let me start again. $8,737,200. If you recall, well, this project would be for to build a roundabout near the Y store called the Y Store Improvement Project. And for the audience's sake, if you recall, we did a safety action plan for the Boys Fort Reservation within the last 2 years. And this intersection was one of the areas identified as a safety hazard. There's been numerous accidents over there, and some of that included fatalities. So this prompted discussions between the Public Works Department and Community Development, MnDOT, St. Louis County Highway System, tribal council members. I believe Carlos was at a few. And we talked about the intersection, and we identified that the best solution for that area would be to build a roundabout. And the intersection is on the state's list as being a high risk area. And it's in one of their top priorities to build a roundabout at that area. So then we applied for TTPS funds, and we will hear within a few months if we did get the funding for that, and that'll be used for planning and design. During the planning and design stage is when we will be meeting with community members and different stakeholders such as counties, townships, businesses, community members, getting their input into the design and construction of the project. So then now we are applying for the build grant, and that grant will fund the actual construction of the project. I did invite one of the SRF staff who was working on the grant application. And I believe Malachi is on, along with Carol Burr. And so if you have any questions, we can take questions.
I just have one quick clarifying question. You said 8,370,000
Um,
on the new resolution?
8,737,200.
737 and then 2,200. Okay. Got it.
That cost includes the taro fees.
Yes. Okay, good.
Doris, looking at the picture that we have here and where they're planning to put it, coming out of the Y store on the right-hand side, the Y store behind us, on the right-hand side is moved more towards that corner over there. Then does the tribe own that land there?
Yeah, we did bring that up. Carol talked about that we need to try to protect that area as much as possible. So, because we know that the tribal council wants to do some project there. And so that's being considered. These drawings that you see here are not written in stone. They're just for demonstrating for the purpose of the grant, the area that we're talking about. When we come to the design and planning stage, That's the point where we'll get more specific on the area and identify the area and what type, like right now, some of the pictures show that the roundabout would be off from Highway 77. But we also need to consider Highway 1 because those roads are so close together that they cause confusion when traffic, especially tourists, are coming like from Virginia going to Ely. And a car is turning, making a left-hand turn. You don't know if they're turning on Highway 1 or into 77. So all of that will be taken into consideration, and the roundabout might actually be in between those areas, or it may be moved more towards Highway 1. Not carved in stone. We'll come to that specific planning when we get to the design stage.
I move to approve.
Moved by Shane to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. Next on the agenda is Kim Granner. The first item, the 2026 program budget requests and general government budget.
Okay, good morning. I'm requesting a motion to approve funding for the attached programs and general government per our budget meetings. Program budgets, amounts requested by the individual programs. The amount requested from the programs was $4,869,792.99. We reduced that by carryovers of $1,620,738.37 in those programs collectively. The council increased it by 20,000. We added the to begin the detention cost program for the non-natives, and I'm sorry, I draw a blank on the law for or the what it's called when we can arrest non-natives and charge them for stuff. So the adjusted request by programs is $3,269,304.62. The general government budget's amount requested was $2,893,220.54. We reduced that by $155,000 in carryovers. We did not increase it by anything, and so the adjusted general government budget is $2,738,254 for a total adjusted budget of $6,007,245.16. Our sources for our budget is Fortune Bay Distribution, Tribal State Aid, the general fund, which is the tax sharing agreement with the state of Minnesota, which those come to $6,652,727, and the remaining budget is that we have not budgeted or allocated anywhere is $645,841.84. This does, and none of these numbers include our set aside for reserves.
Just for clarification, the remaining unbudgeted amount was $645,481.84.
Correct.
So looking at this, the spreadsheet here, under sources of the budget, currently, this is what we currently had in the past. Correct me if I'm wrong, but with Fortune Bay Distribution, it says 1.2 million. Tribal State Aid $3,252,727.
Mhm.
General fund, 2.2 million. And in total available is, 6,652,727.
Correct.
Now, I think, one thing is that, like I said, in that meeting upstairs yesterday, is, when we met with Governor Walz, I think it was last week, and one thing I asked specifically Governor Walz was, where they at with their budget, and if they know if they're gonna be making any cuts. And during that call with us, he stated that they didn't know if they're gonna be making cuts or not. And like I said in that meeting yesterday, that if they do end up making cuts to the tribal state aid monies, whether it be half or if it's all, that we need to come up with a backup plan to cover that shortfall. Just to point that out. Thank you.
There is a question online I would like to address. It says, how can we trust that our general budget presented are correct if we're so far behind paying bills? Yes, we're behind paying bills. Yes, our accounting department is spending about 75% of their days working on the software transition, which part of it is scheduled to go live on March 1st. But those transactions, most of them have purchase orders. And so when I calculate this, I take that in account for the carryovers because the purchase orders encumber the carryover, and we know that from our information. I am doing a financial presentation at the State of the Band, and I would encourage band members to come because I do a pretty thorough job of presenting the tribal government information.
Any questions or concerns? From council?
I don't have any questions. I do have one comment that I would like to make, Bill, going forward. I think it would be helpful if, when the program people are working on their budgets, preparing their budgets to request funding, if they could know what their carryover amounts are, because then it would be a more true request, because going back on this, I was still working in housing when I did the request for the elder worker. And I didn't know that there was carryover in that. So my request that I developed was more than what I needed. So just that's the only comment that I have. Thank you.
They'll have, program directors will have more real-time information with our new system. And they'll have direct access, so it will improve. It'll take us some time, but people will have much more real-time information and know where they're at more accurately on a timely basis.
I know the software has been very challenging. I realize that. It's taken us at least 3 years from the beginning of inception. And you'd think it was you'd think it would be just a quick download and convert everything. It's not like that. There's been a lot of work going into this new software. But I guarantee it brings us out of the dark ages and doing things so manually and falling to error here and there. And the council will be able to have real-time figures and not always relying on Kim. We won't be hearing that. That's a Kim question anymore. Which
No further questions or concerns? Ask for motion to approve 2026 program budget requests. General government budget.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Janelle. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Hey,
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, Kim's going to talk to us about a request for the approval for the chair to sign a tribal participation form for the tribal opioid settlement for Jansen's. I'd like to start and request that that gets sent to Nikki, so it gets, or Nikki or Regina, so it gets sent to me through them. Because sometimes I'll get
Okay.
random requests from the state and
Okay,
I got to run it by.
yeah. So the tribal opioid settlement has been a big, it's an ongoing task. It was originally started, submitted for by someone on the council and the executive ladies from upstairs, and I've kind of kept up on it since then. And I emailed it's because it's a class action lawsuit. I emailed the administrator of the class action lawsuit to verify, and there was one document we didn't have on file. And so I'm just following up to make sure it's in there. I attached a printout of the total that was Boysport's share from the class action suit to date. And I don't have I can't read it because I printed it way too small. I apologize, but it's like 517,000. And so this is just for Carlos to request Carlos to authorize it because we're waiving filing suit against them individually.
Kim, the amount was 537,684.84.
Yeah, I just couldn't read my printout. And that's collectively probably over, I bet you we've probably been getting various settlements, and it's staggered how they pay out and when, so they pay out periodically from there.
There's no questions or concerns. I ask for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
second,
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, Kim is going to talk about the authorization to garnish the 2026 per capita checks.
Okay, last year we did pass a resolution to authorize it per capita garnishments going forward because they had been suspended during COVID, and I'm just bringing it back up to mostly to inform council that it's time to start on it, and so I'll read my memo. I'm requesting authorization to garnish the 2026 per capita checks. In 2025, the Tribal Council passed Resolution 86, 2025, authorizing per capita garnishments starting in 2025 and years thereafter. The resolution had a procedure with it setting out the timeline. The procedure also sets the maximum amount of garnishments at 75% of the annual per capita amount payment. And that was something new we did last year. I would like to start the process a little bit earlier this year to give more time to clean up some of the customer questions they have before we move the data to the new system. So it's kind of a dual part to try to get people to talk to us about some of their possible errors on their systems and more education as we get ready to move to the thing. And then the extra time would be used to mail a statement to band members who are 90 days or past due or more, showing all of their transactions on their account to show that they are getting credited for their payments, and then a little more time to work with staff if they believe they're missing payments on their accounts. So some statistics, 410 customers have past due amounts that have balances that are 90 or more days past due. The total amount of these 410 customers is $1,675,421.11. I had a typo on typing that number. I missed the comma and the cents on it. So I kind of broke it down into categories. So of that, 215 customers owe less than $1,000 each, and their balance collectively is $68,854.01. 147 customers owe between $1,000 and $10,000, and their collective balance is $544,117.49. And then we have 48 customers who owe the Bois Forte tribal government more than 10,000, and their collective balance is, and I have a typo here. I picked up the original number, not the balance. It is $1,444,449.61. And I've attached an aging report for the council of the customers that are considered in this 410. It does not have names on there. It has their customer number and their amounts due. And this is all customers. It's not only band members. This is just to show where we're at on accounts receivable.
Yeah, the numbers add up quick when you start multiplying.
Hmm.
How many it spreads across, and it ends up
Hmm.
1.6 and 1.4 mil. But
Hmm.
I do think it's important that
Yeah, I see there's a question online, and I don't have that number prepared for the meeting for what is the total amount band members owe, but probably 95 to 97% of those numbers are band members.
Hey, Kim,
Mm-hmm.
what is the process to obtain the funds due to us from non-band members?
The departments need to bring them to tribal court, or not to tribal court, to county court. File against them.
Thank you.
And then just also with the new software, as we roll out modules, there will be online access for customers to see their accounts and make online payments too. But that's not going to be part of the part that's rolling out as of March 1st. We're getting there, and it'll be over the summer.
Kim, can you send that, the final numbers to the tribal council and the executive director?
Which final numbers?
The numbers that you
Uh,
just read off, because
They're in,
the nu-
they're in your packet, in the memo.
but the number that you read off at the last one is different from what we have in the
Okay.
packet.
All right. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's important that we chip in and make sure that we do our part. You know, there's a lot that the reservation does for our band members, and you make sure that, we can fund these programs. And this is one way.
The collections that we do from this goes back into the program that they're due to. So, it
Such
either
as
goes back.
housing.
Yeah, housing, water, sewer, daycare, courts. It goes back to fund their, help fund their programs.
Yeah, these are not high numbers, so probably something that act on. Ask for a motion to approve garnishments for the past dues of 2026 or past dues for the 2026 per cap. Or
I'll move.
3D check, not per cap. Moved by Janelle. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, we're gonna talk about the Sun Life stop loss insurance. There was
Okay.
additional documents. Is this what was requested from Janelle in the poll vote?
I don't know what the request was in the poll vote, but, we did, we switched to Sun Life in December for what's called our stop loss insurance for our health insurance. And they did not give us these documents at that time, but we're already being covered under Sun Life for our stop loss insurance. And, we have one individual on our collective health plans between us and the enterprise that have already hit the midpoint of getting to the stop loss. And then we have another 300 and some $1,000 towards the aggregate claims that would be subject to this. So, we did approve this, back in, December, and, by switching from MMII Life to Sun Life, we would save between us and the enterprises collectively $370,000 a year on stop loss premiums. That's why we made the switch. We were on MII Life for so long. Nobody remembered, having to get a resolution before. And so, when we moved this, when we got this, I did send it to Jeff, and Jeff did have some reviews on it. And one of them is, there is a waiver of immunity under the Sun Life agreement, and, we did negotiate back to, limiting the waiver of immunity to just the stop loss insurance stuff. And they agreed to that, and that's what's in this packet. I don't know what your questions were, Janelle, because I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll read what I wrote. And I said, I think that this information should be verbally explained so that there's a better understanding of this. The other comment that I have is if these items should have been included in the packet back in November of 2025, when this was brought to the council for approval. Jeff both had some questions in his response, and I don't believe that we had a chance to have a discussion on these questions.
Yeah. In the packet in December, Sun Life never gave us these documents, so we didn't know about them. So I can apologize for me not including them, but I didn't have them.
Yep.
And we did go back and forth with Jeff, and then do you understand what the stop loss is? Or do I need to kind of explain that over all what that is?
Explain it.
Okay, so we have what's called self-funded health insurance. So we get to design our health insurance and try to control our costs as much as possible. But health insurance is very spendy and risky. And so I'm just going to use myself as an example in a fictitious case. Stop loss kicks in two levels. There's a individual stop loss amount and there's an aggregate stop loss amount. And so that mitigates our risk. So we're buying insurance on our insurance. I believe we're at $100,000 stop loss right now. So if I had a major medical claim out of our funds that we put aside for health insurance for for any individual covered, the most we would pay is $100,000, and then Sun Life or whoever you have for your stop loss insurance kicks in and pays the rest basically. And then we have an aggregate amount. So collectively, I believe it's around 12 million if all our plans together hits the of the cost of claims of 12 million. That's called an aggregate stop loss. They would pay any claims above and beyond that. So it limits our liability exposure. For years, we had it, I think until the last 2 years, we kept our stop loss at 75,000, and we had to fight to keep it that low for years and have a low rate. Many times when we're looking at switching health insurances or the stop loss insurance companies come back, they want us to have an individual stop loss limit of 300,000, I believe. Was that correct, Miranda or Simona? I think it was something like that. They wanted us to significantly increase that, which would really drive up our insurance costs. And so this is what we're buying as, this is the insurance on our insurance, basically. And once we get the signed documents, they'll pay the claims that are waiting and they will be covered by the coverages that we had agreed upon in December. I did confirm that with the company. Jeff, did you have any outstanding questions?
I don't have any questions, no. Just for clarification, the language that Kim talked about regarding the waiver of immunity, the original language proposed was had some really broad language. And I think, my recommendation is always, if the council is going to waive immunity with respect to any agreements like this, that it be limited to claims arising under the agreement itself and not anything else, which is, pretty standard. But a lot of times that waiver language needs to be revised and tweaked to make sure that the waiver is truly limited to claims arising under the contract. So that's what the back and forth was with Sun Life, to make sure that the waiver is more limited, and to get rid of language that was broader than that. So this resolution does waive immunity with respect to the contract, which would give Sun Life the ability to enforce the contract itself. The band would also have the ability to enforce the contract. So there's a reciprocal right to enforce, but that's the waiver of immunity issue. We're able to limit it, but the resolution does provide a limited waiver of immunity in favor of Sun Life for enforcement of the contract itself. If anyone has any questions more about that, I'm happy to try to answer them.
No questions. My end. See that it'll save us 370,000 a year. That's a
As
benefit.
compared to the MMI Life. If we had stayed with MMI Life, we would have had an extra $370,000 in just stop loss insurance costs.
There's no questions or concerns. Ask for a motion to approve. New stop loss insurance and authorizing the chair to sign.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. We added something for Kim, the fiscal year 2026 tribal ARPA budget.
Yeah,
We'll
so
take a break after this one.
okay, yeah, we had created the tribal ARPA funds through a government services agreement because we had not obligated or expended all of our US Treasury funds by the deadlines. And so we had several different things. I'm going to read my memo to so I don't miss something. I just got to get, I had one with notes on it. There we go. So attached is the budget and designated projects for the tribal ARPA funds. I'm requesting the tribal council approve the 26 tribal ARPA budget. At the end of fiscal year 25, there was $5,498,193.94 remaining. Of that, 13 projects were previously designated by the tribal council for a total of $3,735,750.61 and $1,762,380.33 as undesignated. One of the projects that was designated of the original 13 has been completed, and that was to pay the additional funds to complete the for the HAF coordinator to complete the HAF program. And the HAF is the Housing Assistance Fund. For fiscal year 26, the tribal council is keeping 11 of the 12 remaining projects previously designated and reallocating one of the programs. And I'll get to that here. The following programs are staying as designated: the Energy Department, the Employee Assistance, the IT Network Engineer, the Project Manager, the Buffer for the Uncashed Economic Assistance third round checks, because if we didn't have kind of a buffer, if someone didn't cash their check and it comes to December 30 or December of 26, we would have to pay those checks back to the federal government. So we kind of made it so we tried to mitigate that we wouldn't have to pay anything back at all. And we're on track not to pay anything back. The Culture Program Startup Funds, Elder Housing Match, the Grid Grant 1 and 2 matches, and the SRF grant writing funds. There was 2 that we had some funds set aside for grant writing. The remaining program that the tribal council is reallocating is the grant match for the Safe Streets for All. So the Safe Streets for All, the Planning and Community Development Department was able to attain a grant match from the state of Minnesota through its IIJA program. That's the Infrastructure and Inflation and Infrastructure Jobs Act program. So we didn't need, they got an outside source for that grant match. So this amount is being reallocated for the grant writing services for SRF for the build grant with resolution 60 2026, which Doris just had talked about just before me. And the timing of the grant they were going to use for that grant, they were going to use this year's IIJA opportunity to pay for that, but the timing doesn't work out because you can't have the work done prior to the award of the grant from the state. And I believe the grant is due relatively soon, so it didn't work out. They can still apply for a different project for those funds if we have one. So the timing of the grant application and the application process for the current cycle of the state of Minnesota did not align. And then the tribal council added 2 more designated projects. One was an additional $1 million match for the elder housing grant application that was submitted. And so we set those funds aside. So if we get the grant, we have the full match. But they also the staff that are working on that project also know that they need to pursue other leverage funds from other places to free up the money. And that grant was resolution 59 2026. Also, we set aside an additional $100,000 for a special budget for the secretary treasurer to fund for special audits or investigations as needed. And a policy that you passed a resolution last fall, or I don't remember when it was passed, I forgot. And Regina did send me the resolution and I forgot to look it up before the meeting. So you knew the number. And that's
I have it,
in
Kim.
okay.
It's resolution 10-2025,
Mhm.
signed on
And-
July 2nd, 2024 by Kathy Chavers and I.
Okay, yep, and so this funds is set aside if the condition arises and there needs to be some general policies developed for accessing those funds. So that's set aside if needed. So after that, the remaining of the undesignated amount of the tribal ARPA funds is $662,380.33. Not all the projects will be started or be completed during fiscal year 26. But it's designated and set aside for those specific projects that the council has worked on over the years.
Any more questions or concerns regarding the tribal ARPA budget?
I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
Ask for a motion to approve 2026 tribal opera budget.
I'll move.
Moved by Janelle. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? So we're gonna take a 10-minute break and that'll be 18. So we'll just come back at 12:20, please.
I just wanted to say that when Shane was talking about Governor Walz, I remembered that I was going to let you know that Senators Klobuchar and Housechild sent a letter of support for the build grant. And so if you guys cross paths, you might want to thank them for their support. Thanks.
And we'll let them know. All right, it's 12:20. We will resume. And next on the agenda is Lance Hill. There's a few things to discuss today. All right, the first thing he's going to talk about is resolution number 63-2026, and that's a cancellation of a lease. It looks like it's transferring over to a new residential lease next. So first, we're going to talk about canceling the old lease, and that's for Dorothea Kletchka.
Correct. I'll just add one more item, one more part to that. So yes, we'll be a band member will be transferring her interests in the land use via her lease, and also the property, which would be the home to her son. So the second action covers that property, and then the third action, I believe you touched on, just finalizes that process, issuing a new lease to the son, Tom Spears. So
sounds good. So looks like everything was all prepared and I'll add it to the packet. We'll take care of this in order. With resolution number 63-2026, the cancellation of lease for Dorothea Kletchka. No questions or concerns. Ask for a motion to approve. Moved by Shane. Do I have a second? Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up is the certificate of title for Tom Spears. As had mentioned by Lance, the interest is being transferred over to Tom.
correct. Let's see, I believe this home was first originally built around either 1960 or 1970, one of those two decades. There is a clear ownership paper trail from Harry Bonus to his children. There's documented quit claims, so this is how it got to Dorothea Kletchka's ownership. And then This here, this certificate of title, correct, this keeps a clean trail of ownership to the home. Also, the son, Tom Spears, he may or may not seek financing as he moves forward into home ownership, renovate or to rebuild. So a clear title, clear ownership documentation enables that process, which is the third part.
Sounds good. If there's no questions or concerns, I ask for a motion to approve the certificate of title for Tom Spears.
Move.
Moved by Tara,
Second.
second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up is resolution number 64-2026, and that is the new residential lease for Tom Spears. And that would cover the cancellation lease. So it's the same property, just transferring it over to the interest of Tom Spears. If there's no questions or concerns, I ask for a motion to approve resolution number 64-2026, the new residential lease for Tom Spears.
Move.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second? Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up, we're going to talk about resolution number 65-2026, and that's a tower lease agreement with Verizon at Fortune Bay Resort Casino.
All right, yes, thank you. So I'll give you guys, provide a few summary notes that was provided to us through Jacobson, one of Jeff's colleagues, Barbara Cole. She did a lot of the heavy lifting, or she was running point on this. It's similar to the Verizon contract that took place for the Net Lake Tower. So some of the notes are, this has been in negotiation since 2023. It has a lot of similar language to that previous Verizon lease. So some of the hot stoves we touched and items that the BIA had issues with have been resolved, and we believe that this will move forward in a similar fashion now that they've addressed all their concerns. It was executed, signed in October of 25. Some of the notes on the terms. So it's initially going to be it's listed at $1,500 per month for a term of 10 years. It will have 3 automatic 5-year extension terms after the 10, and the price will increase 5% at each increment, 5-year increment. So at 10 years, increase of 5%, 15, 25, 30, or hang on. After 25 years, it'll automatically increase 5 times as well in 5-year increments, also with that same 5-year compounded interest. And so 8 increases, the expected lease duration would be 50 years. As far as review, I mentioned this was carried out a lot of the heavy lifting by legal counsel. I don't have a direct date when it was reviewed, but so the date I use is February 2nd, when I was given a copy of the executed lease, the signed, and so that's when I'm pretty sure that we know it was reviewed by then, but it was drafted well before. That's just a safe date. That's about all I have, unless you guys have further questions.
No questions or concerns on my end? Any from council? Not. I ask for a motion to approve resolution number 65-2026, the tower lease agreement with Verizon, Fortune Bay Resort Casino.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Lance, for joining us today.
All right, thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have Randy Long with a couple items today. First off, he's going to speak about the contract with Communication Network Engineering for the NTIA broadband grant.
What I have before you is a contract amendment request to Communication Network Engineering. This company is the primary network engineer overlooking our NTIA broadband project throughout all of Lake Vermilion. Throughout the past year, we've ran into a considerable amount of rock. Due to this, we're in need of re-engineering approximately 30% of the project to be in compliance. Therefore, I'm recommending we increase the cost to cost of the contract to Communication Network Engineering from $1,066,000 to $1,595,220. Communication Network Engineering costs have been factored into the original amount throughout this grant. We're sitting very good on the budget, and I feel favorable that by increasing the contract, this engineering firm will be able to complete this project on time.
Sounds good. And like you had mentioned, it's just we ran into more rock than expected.
We did. If you have any questions for me, please let me know.
Yes, between the two amounts that you cited in your description or memo of your request, basically the difference between $1,066,837 as the new one is $1,500,902, and the difference is $528,363.
Yes.
Do you have the funding to cover that?
Yes, we do.
There's no problem with the grantor?
Nope.
Everything's good with Jeff?
Everything's good with Jeff.
Move to approve.
We got a motion to approve by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. And
Thanks.
next up with
Thank you,
Randy.
Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Next, Amy's going to talk to us. And first off is the approval to access Bois Forte energy usage, the date to support the grant application and projects.
Good morning. So this is a request to, I think we did a letter similar to this one. They were supporting the work for the strategic energy plan to support the development of the energy department. And basically what they did is they pulled all of the energy account numbers and put a letter together, sent them to the utilities, and just requested to have that information drawn. So the difference with what I'm asking to do is to put a similar letter together so that way I can access the energy usage data to support the work that I do. So I need information like that to update our original strategic energy planning information. If we do a future TEDC grant application or a tribal utility authority feasibility study, we have to understand what our overall usage is on the reservation. We need this for the solar feasibility studies that I'm working on right now, the microgrid grant system design that we are currently working on. And I do have a future tribal housing inventory project that I would like to work on, and we would have to be able to pull energy usage data on that as well. Ongoing data that we would be doing would be energy usage benchmarking, and then just the flexibility to pull just based off the projects and or grants. My goal is to have a posting for a sustainability coordinator, and this person would end up helping me develop the tracking that we would need to do, so that way we can also report out. So when we go through and we put together a project and it's completed, we would be able to show what our usage data was before versus what we're using now. So we can kind of watch and see how our energy usage is decreasing as we implement different projects.
Sounds good. So you're asking for a letter of basically saying that we give you approval to access that data? Okay,
So I'll probably draft something up so that way we can send it out. And I'd like to make sure that we do the letter annually. So that way it's not just an ongoing. So if there's a change ever, you guys have the opportunity to say yes or no at any point in time. But I'd like to at least do this one for a year and then come back next year and just request to have that letter updated with the utilities, just so they're constantly aware of who has approval to do that.
sounds good. I think we'd probably want to see the letter before we approved it.
Yep.
So maybe we can just not,
Because I think what you saw in the packet is the one that we've done before, so we would just.
was
I
it
know-
in there?
Yeah, there is
Oh.
one that was put together before.
Yeah.
And it just basically shows the addresses, and then the departments and the account numbers. So I think the
Okay.
other important thing to note is that when we look at, say, tribal housing or something like that, we're not looking specifically for the people that own the houses. We don't care about that at all. All we care about is the account number and the usage of the utility information. And that's it. We are not doing anything that identifies the owners or the renters in those houses.
Okay,
So the letter would be similar to that. I just need to update that and make sure I've got all of the account numbers.
perfect. There's no questions or concerns? That's for motion.
Just that, you'll be signing that instead of Kathy this time.
Okay.
But when I send that up for signatures, I'll make sure the council knows that it went to Carlos for signature. So
Can I have one quick request?
yes,
It says, please return the information to Kim Greiner, CFO at information there. Could the council also get a copy of this just to stay informed? And
absolutely.
then I think this information would be good to share with the environmental. I know you're real close with those guys anyway, but just to share with them to see what's being used and if they could use any of that data too.
Yep.
Language.
When we look at that sustainability coordinator position, because many of the tribal nations have their energy department underneath the DNR, that sustainability coordinator position falls nicely because it's a DNR position supporting those efforts. Because we have it separated out. I've already talked to Chris and asked him what he would need because this person would be supporting different things that they would need as well. So yeah, definitely
Cool.
keep them.
Thank you. I move to approve.
Moved by Sarah. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. All right, next Amy's going to talk to us about the approval for a free technical assistance support community engagement tied to our microgrid grant.
Yes. So we had Northspan put together a scope of work for our microgrid planning grant. And this is really just to do engagement, community engagement. And so the purpose is to facilitate the community engagement activities in Nett Lake and Vermilion, preparation of required grant documentation required to show the community engagement, ensure continuity for the second engagement sessions if technical assistance dollars are not extended through MPCA, and to support future grant readiness. So those were the main purposes that were called out in their scope of work. Their cost is $20,000. It's no cost to Boys Fort, as this falls underneath MPCA free tribal technical assistance. And so that's primarily what this is. So our community engagement events are going to be March 18th from 3 to 6 p.m. in Vermillion and March 19th from 3 to 6 in Netpeak. And they will be here supporting us and helping us engage in that.
Sounds good. Hopefully we can get the word out and get some engagement from the community members on those dates. There's no questions or comments. I'd ask for a motion to approve the free technical assistance support.
Move.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next on, we're going to speak about the election board appointments. Or we have some. On the packet. There we go. Need to be appointed.
Yeah, you'll just see that the one column that needs to be appointed and the yellow go, other than the District 2 spot, that one, we don't have one yet.
Sounds good. Okay, so we have 5 people we're going to appoint onto the election board. First one is going to be Justina Drift. And her first choice is for District 1.
I would like to appoint Justina Drift as the clerk position for District 1.
We have a nomination for Justina Drift as clerk. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up, we have a teller position for District 1 and Angeline Lilia needs to be appointed.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Janelle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. First position we have for Duluth is a clerk. You have a nomination for clerk for Duluth position. We have Sidra Eves, Virgil Sohm, and Wendy Drift. I'm asking for a nomination for clerk, Duluth.
I'll make a motion for Sidra.
Motion for Sidra Eves, clerk. Do I have a second? Second by Robert. Do I? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, we have a teller position in Duluth.
I nominate Wendy Drift.
A nomination for Wendy Drift as teller. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. We have an alternate position and we will Virgil Sohm.
I'll move.
Moved by Janelle.
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Motion. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. So those are the 5 we had for the election board. Next up, we have Miranda Lilia. First off, first item she will be speaking to us about is resolution number 66-2026, reappointment of Cannabis Regulatory Commission Director Sadie Whitebird.
Sadie Whitebird Whitebird's appointment as Cannabis Regulatory Commission will end at the end of this month. I am requesting to reappoint her to the position for 1 year.
There's no questions or concerns. I ask for a motion to approve. Resolution number 66-2026. Reappointment of Sadie Whitebird. Under Miranda A.
There is a comment about this.
Comment online. A band member, this jumping ahead on the agenda. People want to know, why is the Cannabis Regulatory Director is a reappointment? What is the reason this was not posted? When New Moon Property Manager contract was up, Teresa Drift said all contracted positions have to be posted. Is the Cannabis Regulatory Director a contract? Yes, it is a contract.
I thought this was just an appointment. I thought this was just on the board. I didn't know it was a contract. Because that contract was, we just did that contract a few months ago, so that's why I didn't think this was a contract. I didn't think this was her pay. I thought this was just her sitting on the board.
And for the question about Sadie is that it's my understanding that she would be training in somebody to take over once she's done. And hopefully that'll happen as we move forward on this. It is a big task, responsibility to take on, especially if the tribe does move into a growing facility. And hopefully whoever is trained in will be able to take on that task. Thank you.
Yes, that will be worked out with Sadie coming, and will come to the council for approval to, like the trainee position for her to train somebody in to take over once her appointment ends.
I would move to approve the reappointment.
Is I had a question about this. I mean, I didn't even think it was a contract for her. I thought it was just for the board. Does it say what? The pay is, I mean, and so we'd have to get on that training program if that's what was thought was gonna happen, is a training program. So we can get that posted for our band members. We have a motion by Shane. Is there a second?
Can I ask what, or maybe I don't know, what is this person paid and where does it come from? The money? This was before I got here, so I'm not familiar with the contract or, with the paperwork. And then, just for clarification, the contract would go from March 1st of 2026 through February 28th, 2027.
I'm reviewing the resolution.
You know, she did an awesome job when we got her on board. And she came up with the policies and procedures that oversees, Ushkade. And she did a great job for the tribe. You know, she really knows her stuff because this is all she does. And so she's very, knowledgeable about cannabis and the industry. I think that Boyce Fort was very, fortunate to get her on board.
Sounds good. And I started June 27th of last year, and I have not met with her, or and I've only seen like a couple communications on email. So I'm just wondering if I do know that with the new cannabis grow operation coming up, I'm pretty sure we're going to be utilizing her a lot more than we have been in the last year. So look forward to working with her this next year. Shane, approve or motion, you second, all in
I will
favor?
second, yeah.
Second by Gino, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried.
Let's make a note to get other board members trained. Remember how we originally set this up? We tried to get board members, trained, and a 3-member board. It just wasn't coming to fruition. But we really need our band members taking this over. And I believe that, Sadie's goal was to train our band members so that they could take over as the board. And I think we need more than one person to be doing this. So we should probably get 2 other board members and an alternate. And then eventually when Sadie exits, probably after her first year here, or the council or the council can do away with the contract. It's either one of us. So we need to hurry up and attract people to be on the board and to be trained in this specialized cannabis, especially as it relates to the growing facility now, not just Ishkade. We need to get going on that. Can you make a note for us to be doing that? And that'll be our goal for at the next cannabis meeting to really get going on that.
Sounds good. So we'll get that information out there, see who's interested in joining the cannabis board and learning. And next, Miranda, I know you had a couple more items, or did you have an item under yours?
Yes. The first item is a request by some of our senior management team members. They volunteered to be on an Olympic committee. And they were tasked with coming up with some Olympics events for our employees, a morale booster, some fun at the office, so they got together. They are requesting for March 20th to be, like Boyce Fort Office Olympics Day for our staff. Again, it's to increase morale, get us together. have some fun, play some games. The events, prizes, food, everything associated with this day will be provided by the 477 program. And they are requesting the full day on Friday, March 20th. Or if that would not work, a half a day for Friday, March 20th. So I'm bringing this to council on behalf of that committee to request either the full day or the half day on March 20th.
I'd recommend the full day to allow for travel for people that are not in net or Vermillion, because it does mention, you know, the Duluth and Minneapolis employees. There's no questions or other concerns. I'd ask for motions to approve.
I have just a few questions to make sure that everybody is participating. Is this Olympics, you know, like the Olympics that were the Winter Olympics that just happened? Is there anything that you're gonna do for people that are handicapped or limited mobility? You know, so is there what kind of Olympics is it gonna be so everybody gets to be involved?
That I don't know. The committee was, has come up with different games. They gave us a little bit of description. I don't recall what those are. Some of them are cultural games. Some of them are probably like brain games. Some of them are probably like a little bit of physical, but I don't know exactly what the games they have.
Okay, well, I'm
Schedule.
just wondering if we can keep in mind, bingo's always popular. Thanks.
Ask for a motion to approve the whole day with, as long as they add bingo.
I'll move.
Moved by Janelle,
Second.
second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Look forward to the event. Looks like a fun day planned. Hopefully it's warm.
The next item I have, is regarding the building access. Recently here at the Bois Forte Tribal Government Building, the Community Services Building, the key card access was improved, updated. And so yesterday we had a meeting there with some of the senior management, and we were deciding which employees get access where. IT will be setting up a general access for our employees. The one question that we weren't able to answer was the access upstairs. Upstairs is tribal council, the executive assistants, and myself. It was decided that that question should go to council to who gets access upstairs. So that's the first question. Your mic's not on.
Yeah, sounds good. We didn't want to limit anybody by having those doors and locking mechanisms in place, you know. We still want employees to come upstairs and visit. You just have to use your key card, I guess, to get in. It'll just document that you're going upstairs. Would request, you know, you don't hold the door open for a bunch of people, just each scan your card, I guess. Yeah, we're not trying to limit people coming upstairs. It was just turned on and making sure the whole building was secure.
We do have two comments online. The first one is no more open door policy to the tribal council. The second one is I thought council had an open door policy.
We do, and that's why they had to ask, because the doors were fixed, and like before, you know, the access to go upstairs, the buttons weren't working. We made sure the whole system was upgraded, you know, the front doors and the back doors. So that meant fixing the key access and the elevator and the stairwells. So it all got fixed and it all works now. So it got turned on. And before, the access was only limited to people upstairs. So like now people go upstairs and get snacks and say, what's up? And It got cut off because the doors work now. The doors, we fixed it. The doors actually work. And we encountered a problem. No, we didn't cut off the open door policy, and no, we didn't ask people to quit coming upstairs. It just, we fixed something and we found a byproduct of it, I guess. You know, people weren't able to get upstairs because we fixed something. So
The next comment online, frontline staff do not get behind. Frontline staff do not get behind locked doors. We are in the open. So any visitors to the building, whether they come to see tribal council, whether they come to see human resources, whether they come to see IT, if they're not an employee of this building, they would go to the front desk calls back, and that staff person or department that they are here to see will come to the front desk and bring them back.
good.
Can you please explain how this came about or what enacted this policy change besides just the changing of the access?
So a few months ago, I don't remember the exact number of months, but we had asked our emergency preparedness specialist, Teresa Isham, to bring in Alice training, like workplace safety training. And so it was after that training, with discussions with council, council wanted the door access engaged for the upstairs. And so with that, and maybe Randy has a little better explanation, but the key card access was updated throughout the building.
This new system is replacing a system that's currently 16 years old. The past system was failing and was in need of replacement. The new system, in order to programming it in, required all the existing door locks to be turned on and activated. Due to that, it required additional security program for the card holders or the occupants of the building. Now, I was not able to completely take the existing user rights from the old system and implement it into the new system, as there's different security controls built into that. So what all employees have now is just basic functions to get from where they need to into their specific departments until such time we can get clarification with the tribal council where you want access. If you want to allow all employee access upstairs, you want to deny them, and that's why we're here today.
During work hours, not like after hours,
That will be determined. Senior management discussed it yesterday, and we'll be preparing recommendations to the tribal council on who we feel needs 24/7 access, who we needs all door access throughout the entire organization and stuff. And hopefully by early next week, we can get that to you for review.
I know there's like some people who had questions about getting here for cultural events. We have to make sure that they can continue because
Well, I would like access to my office to be 100%. Any employee or any community member. I don't agree with locking the doors. Or the elevator. I know we can't do the elevator. I don't even have those little screen things on my windows. I don't have that blocking my door at my office. Anybody can see what I'm doing. Anybody can come in. My door is open. I don't leave it closed unless I'm on a meeting that is protected information. So I really appreciate the Alice protection. But when I was in DNR, I didn't have that at all. So I understand the severity and what it's put in place for. I really do. I really, really do. But I don't need that. Which
That's good to know because that's exactly the information we need in order to proceed and to complete this project.
How long has it been like that, where the front line staff or the front desk staff have to let somebody through the doors to get back to the offices back there? How long has that been in play?
That's been a few years that we've asked that. It kind of was a little bit inconsistent. There were times where, you know, the doors were open. There are times when the front desk staff will just open the door and let whoever is here just go wherever they need to go. Very recently, we were told throughout the building, if you have a visitor, you now need to come to the front and get your visitor.
I seem to remember we had an incident, we had a young or individual come here, and he wanted to see the council at the time. And I think it was a non-native. And I think the only council member upstairs was Janelle at the time. So that was a little bit frightening, I do believe, for you, correct?
Yes,
You know, and you know, thank God the staff handled it the way they did, and I do believe, weren't the cops called?
yes, I asked Regina to call the police because I didn't know what the guy was gonna do. You know, like I said, I wasn't on the council very long, but it was pretty nerve-wracking. So and the comment that I have is, I think that the staff that have the key fob or key access, whatever it's called, can use that to go upstairs if they need to go upstairs. But I do think that people other than the staff should be required to stop out at the front desk and ask to see who they're here to see, because if you just open the door and let them go, what if that person's not even here? And you know, and when I was in housing, that part of the building, there is no door to close off, right? It's just a hallway. And so there were many times that we had different individuals just come walking in. And I didn't really appreciate that because I think that, you know, they should have stopped out at the front and said, I'm here to see whoever in housing. And the front could have buzzed back and said, so-and-so is here to see you. We could have come up and we could have got him and brought him back, you know, to discuss whatever. So I do think that people should stop at the front and let the front people know who they're here to see. And then that person should come and get them. But as far as the staff that work in this building, if they have that this little thing, key fob, and they need to come upstairs, I don't have a problem with it. Thank you.
Sounds good, Randy. Thank you.
The next request I have, we, in discussion with the building access, I had received, or I'm sorry, in the weekly update meeting yesterday, if you remember, Lieutenant Cox, the acting chief of police, requested, you know, to like 24 access to the buildings, all RTC buildings, for emergency services reasons. So I've approved that request here at our building, but he has requested that with all buildings. So that is not something I believe I have the authority to grant. And so bringing that to council's consideration now. Do you want to authorize access for law enforcement to all of our buildings that have a locked door 24/7?
That would be for our buildings under RTC.
Under RTC. Under tribal
Um,
government, I should say.
It wouldn't be for fun. It would just be for responding to calls, like. I didn't mean to jump in.
I would like to table this for further discussion because we need to get answers from like Dan and would that be a violation of HIPAA if the officers went inside up at HHS while nobody was in the office? Would that be a violation of their policies? Or if they're stopping up the family health center and while 8 o'clock at night nobody's there? You know, and so I'd like to get clarification from Dan, from Jeff on this.
Sounds good. I don't see any issues with those that you had brought up as a, from the law enforcement perspective, because they wouldn't be digging around in files and stuff on a call. But yeah, I would, I wouldn't mind tabling it so we can get clarification on some of the stuff that, you know, needs to be addressed. And then plus more discussion before we make a decision like this. And then, we can get back to them. I'm not sure if we're gonna table this to our Monday morning meeting. Or if we're gonna have something separate. But I think we can discuss it. Probably Monday because we can have Lieutenant Cox or Acting Chief of Police Cox on in the room. So motion to table,
Posting table.
as motion to table by Shane. Do I have a second? Second by Robert. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried.
There are a few more comments online. The first one that I had not read was, okay, Alice was brought up. Frontline staff get harmed while others are locked behind doors. The next comment is, I had a question about the amount owed to the band. What is the council going to do to get people to pay what they owed? The per capita garnishment is not enough with what Kim said is owed. Who is responsible for this, council or the programs? The next comment, I agree with having staff go to the front to get guests. I like an open door policy, but the incident that Janelle and Shane spoke of was frightening for at least, I know the 477 staff in our suite. So to me, this is understandable. The last one is, I think directors should have access to RTG, our boss, ED, and many needed departments such as HR and IT. Accounting is there.
I seem to remember years ago, when I used to work at the radio station, we had a community member make a threat against one of our directors, and they locked this facility down in response to that. I seem to remember that. I don't know if anybody else does. Thank you.
Just left you over in the radio station and locked this building down? They locked this building, but you were over at the radio station? Oh, okay.
I have nothing else.
I do have a comment that I'd like to make, and you know, the front staff out in this building and any building for that matter are, you know, are out in the open. I would like to suggest and recommend that maybe we try to look at some way of providing safety for those employees as well. I don't know how that's gonna be, how it's gonna work, or, what can be done, but I did have that thought the day that, the incident happened, when I was the only one upstairs. I did have that thought about, the two guys out in front out here. And how we would, try to keep those, employees safe as well. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody's online and know of anybody who'd like to serve on the election board, we still have some spots open. Or we don't have spots open. We need to fill some spots on the election board. Gonna pull up which is the most needed area. No. We also have our midwinter powwow this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here in Net Lake. Make sure to stop by. I think that's it, right? No more items for the day? There's no questions or no other comments? I'm asking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you all for joining us online. And if you know anybody who'd like to join the election board, there's spots open. For election day, on the day. Miigwech. Meeting adjourned at 1:15. Thank you all for joining us.